I mentioned on Tuesday's show that on Monday, Illinois Governor Pat Quinn had signed a law that will make it a felony to post sexually explicit videos or photos of another person online without his or her permission. This is known as the revenge porn law, and the man who is behind it, who sponsored this whole thing, is on the phone with me now, State Senator Michael Hastings of Tinley Park, Illinois. Good morning, Senator. How are you?
Good morning, Paul. I'm doing fine. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you. What will this law do that the laws already on the books didn't do?
So before, what happened was, someone posted a picture or disseminated a picture that was sexually explicit without their consent, and they posted it online or gave it to a friend. There was no law that enforced penalties for it. So what this law does is it creates a felony offense, one of the lower felony offenses, for anyone who's over 18 years of age, disseminates an image of another person that's sexually explicit without their consent.
Now, we've heard a lot of stories in the last several years about teenagers and people in their 20s mostly sexting each other. You know, a couple is dating or they're early on in their relationship, whatever it may be. Maybe they've been together for a while, and one of them takes a picture of themselves showing off their genitalia or whatever parts of their body they're showing off, and they send it to the other one in a text message, and then later on they break up, and now the picture gets shown around to everybody else around high school or college. Would this law cover things like that?
It would, and I can tell you once I filed the bill, this originally came up through cyberbullying, which in our community, and I think the communities across Illinois, cyberbullying is something that's pretty rampant. Whether that be in high school, college, and so on and so forth, through Facebook and other media outlets, social media and stuff. So we had a lady come and testify in our committee. She's got a great reputation as an interior designer, and her husband took photos and made videos, and they're private. It was meant to be private.
Yep.
And whenever the husband would ask something of his now ex-wife, he would always hang this over her head, saying, "Listen, either you do this for me or you do this, or I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to email all these pictures and post these videos online." And this poor lady, let me tell you, Paul, she can't go through her life without worrying about somebody posting something or embarrassing her. And I think that's no way to go through life. And that's just one small example of many of these incidences that happen.
I know the state of California this year or last passed a law to go after some of these guys who were running revenge porn websites that were actually soliciting material like that. And not only were the mostly men who were sending in pictures of their ex-wives or ex-girlfriends, not only were they harassing these women, but the operator of the website was then using it to blackmail some of these women.
Right, and they would actually charge them to take the photos down or pull them off. I can think of that's the most compromising permission to be in. Number one, I think the general rule is if you don't want it to be put out there, don't take the picture. I think that's probably pretty much common sense. But there are certain times where you do things in private, with in the intimacy of your relationship, and and you expect it not to be posted online. And I think California recently I think they just had their first case where a gentleman posted a picture of his wife or emailed a picture of his wife to his boss, and he was actually just convicted in California. So, I mean, this is very real, and people's reputations, not only professionally but personally, can be pretty ruined if something like this gets out there.
This seems to me to be common sense, but I know that there were people who were opposed to your bill who argued that it infringes on the right to free speech. After all, the argument is, this is not mine, I'm playing devil's advocate here, but their argument seems to be, hey, you know what? It's my phone, it's my camera on my phone, it's my then girlfriend. I took a picture, I own the picture. If I want to put that up on Facebook or some website or send a copy of it to my friends or to anybody else, that's my right under the First Amendment. What do you say to them?
Paul, when they faced me in the committee hearing, we talked about it in private. The first thing I asked them was, "Hey, if this was you, how would you feel about it?"
Yeah.
And the first thing they said was, "Oh no, I wouldn't want my picture posted online." And I said, "Okay, those people are doing their job, representing the organizations they're representing. But when the common test or the common sense test comes into effect,
Right.
I think majority of the people across the country would understand that, hey, this is the right thing to do.
Yeah. I will tell you, as both a husband and as a father, I mean, I can't imagine finding out that somebody was harassing my daughter in this way if she were to ever have pictures like these taken, whether they were, really provocative or just something that seemed kind of innocent at the time with somebody that she was with. I can't imagine what would go through my mind finding out that somebody had done that. So I think laws like this are a good idea. And the other part of it, to me, Senator, is, people talk about, the First Amendment. What about my right to free speech? We have limits on lots of free speech. And, for instance, there are words right now that you and I, being on the radio, can't say. There are things that you can't say about other people publicly, write about them on your blog. We have libel and slander laws. So we do have restrictions on free speech. It's not an absolute. And this is one of those that would seem to fit under the category of things that are okay to be illegal.
There was a lot of police officers and police chiefs contacted our office across the state of Illinois asking, when's this law going to be in effect? Because there's a lot of people out there that are affected by this. And I can tell you that you really don't realize the implication of some of the things you do until you file a bill. And the amount of phone calls, the amount of thanks, not just from women, but from men too. And it protects both people. And I think the effects of this, this thing, what they call revenge porn, but I think they could be so detrimental that the people's, not only their reputations, but just to themselves. We had an incident in our town where cyberbullying has come to a point where it's caused people to, in some cases, commit suicide.
Yep.
And I think that it should never come to that. I got 3 sisters, a beautiful wife. I can tell you that if somebody posts something online, and you being a father, I don't know if a law is going to stop me from going after them.
Yeah.
So,
in addition to the criminal penalties, do the people who are the victims of this have civil remedies that they can seek?
They do, and that's what's on the books right now. You could actually seek civil remedies, whether that be in intentional infliction of emotional distress, harassment. There's some other things you can go with, but this creates the criminal aspect of it. Not everyone has the money to retain an attorney and go through the legal process. This would afford people to go to the police station and say, hey, my ex so and so posted something online, and I'd like for them to take it down.
Okay.
And I can tell you the bite with this penalty that it has, the maximum penalty that it has. If it doesn't act as a deterrent to people doing this, I don't know what will.
It's punishable by 1 to 3 years in prison and a fine of up to $25,000. It's a Class 4 penalty, but it does not go into effect right away, correct?
It goes into effect on June 1st, 2015. And that was due to the legislative process is a very complicated thing at times. And so we had to work through some negotiation from the House and the Senate and the wording of certain things to make sure that it matched with other laws on the book. And so it'll go into effect on June 1st, 2015.
And what if somebody is blackmailing somebody else? Can the victim get the money back?
They could, obviously, any forfeiture of any property used in the commission of this crime can be recovered. And that was one of the things that we wanted to make sure that was in there was, hey, if you had to pay $1,500, $2,000 to get your picture off a website, you get that money back.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
Senator?
I can tell you, being the youngest senator in Illinois, I'm a military veteran for 10 years. I thought I saw it all. When I was approached by a couple people in regards to this bill, I mean, it makes you, there's a lot of things out there that the government can do for you that could really help you.
Well, we all know the emotion of being jilted at some point in our life and the anger that can flow through your bloodstream when that happens. But taking revenge, whether it's physical or digital, there have to be restrictions on what you can do. And I think this is a good law and a long time coming, and I wish Missouri would pass a law. How many other states have similar laws at this point?
To date, there's 15 states, from Alaska all the way to Wisconsin, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania. There's and a few more on the books that are going through the debate process. Obviously, this is when you write a law, you got to go through all the nooks and crannies of what would happen once you pass the law. And I think a lot of states, I think this will be a federal, this will go across the entire country here within the next few years.
I can't think of a valid argument against it, so I'm glad you were able to get it through, hopefully with very little opposition. It goes into effect on June 1st. Let's just call it the revenge porn law, sponsored by Democratic Senator Michael Hastings of Tinley Park, Illinois. Thanks so much for joining me here today.
Well, you have a happy new year, and my best to your staff. You guys do a great job.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year to you, too. It's 9:21 at the Big 5.